Oh, my friends, family, esteemed colleagues, constantly the same fears are showing up from people who want or would love to try the protocol, but they are hypertensive or they have some other problem with the heart. And where the problem comes is the fear of salt. How can I drink plasma when I'm hypertensive? I addressed this question many times. But again, repetition, it's the only way to penetrate this brain. We have to tune it. And tuning it is through exposure. We are tuning brain to think in terms of health. So certain things have to be repeated, especially where there is the most fear coming in. And this is usually people that suffer from kidney problems and then hypertension. But very often kidney problems and hypertension are put in the same basket, as doctors are being told that basically hypertension is one of the problem causing that is influencing kidney problems. So you have to deal with the hypertension to then deal with the kidney, when actually very often is the kidney problem that creates the hypertension. And in which way? Well, if organ gets inflamed, well, it is creating back pressure. I have explained that inflammation is nothing more than forced hydration. And to increase the pressure within tissue where you want to forcefully push some water into the cells, well, you have to actually constrict the vessel, so the vein, so not much blood can go through to reduce the amount of blood that can pass through. And this is going to now increase the pressure in this organ. But body cannot just make decision to constrict vein. It creates certain chemicals like vasopressin, histamine, which then constricts the blood vessels, because this is a part of a defense system. And when it does it, of course, the pressure in the artery, between artery and heart, has to build up, because now you constrict it like a hose. You constrict end of the hose, and pressure in a hose builds up, and then water squirts with higher pressure, goes further, so eventually same amount of water passes, but through smaller orifice in longer distance, because it goes under higher pressure. And since kidneys are being supplied with very big artery, so if kidney goes under inflammation, well, this creates a big back pressure that can be measured when you're checking your blood pressure. Now, since we know that what happens in a kidney is a constriction, there are chemicals involved, so now we attack those chemicals and not the real culprit why body produces these chemicals. But besides point, the fear of salt. This is put into us through the science. Follow the science. Well, it's corrupted, manipulated science. It has nothing to do with truth. Same like law has nothing to do with righteousness and with correctness. Law serves the one that has more influence, more money, more control. Doesn't serve the truth. And same is the science. We have twisted everything. And the twist came from the same people that we are now fighting. They control everything. We call it evil. So, all of you, especially you doctors, nurses, everyone in medical field, alternative medicine, same crap, because you use the same knowledge. If you still believe that salt will increase blood pressure, if you do not suffer from hypertension, or try it on younger ones, because as we get older, we get toxic, we have the same problems, and you may not have increased blood pressure because you are low on blood. As soon as you drink a little bit more water temporarily before body takes it out because it cannot measure it to minerals, your blood pressure will increase because you have lost elasticity of your arteries. Now, if you have younger members of family that don't have this problem, well, give them a bunch of salt to eat, make them plasma, water with sea salt, or salt, any kind of a salt, and let them drink it. And then check their blood pressure. You will see a zero difference. Nothing. Salt has nothing to do with hypertension other than it allows recuperating the proper levels of blood. And this may sound strange because as a doctors we never think about the density of the blood is actually, when it increases actually because there is a less plasma in there. Body maintains the correct amount of red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, albumin, globulin, everything that it uses to function properly. But the plasma level of minerals and salt and water drops. So you have more particles in less liquid, in less water, and it becomes denser. So you have to increase the plasma levels because body does not hold water. It can't because it has to be electroconductive. Water is not electroconductive. So it needs ionic water, which we call plasma. Seawater is ionic water, it's plasma. Plasma is ionized matter, in this case, water. So, drinking water is not going to help you, but it may increase your blood pressure if your arteries are not flexible, or if you have inflammatory problems. You can have inflammatory problems and not having high blood pressure. Why? Because you don't have enough blood. So it's difficult then to increase this pressure, but it needs more of inflammation to be noticeable. But you will get there, don't worry. If you don't hydrate, if you allow yourselves to get dehydrated, extremely dehydrated, and to thicken their membranes, then you will get to the point that you will have high blood pressure even with low levels of blood in the body. And then, of course, anything you drink, blood pressure shoots up. Has nothing to do with salt in it. Only what happens if you drink water without salt, the body loses. You are interfering with electroconductivity. Robot, this body, is already programmed with sensors and switches and how to correct things. So as soon as electroconductivity of the blood is being infringed on, and if the water is the cause, the diuretic switch goes on, and you start urinating and sweating, getting the extra water out so you can measure it better with the ionic values and reestablished the proper electroconductivity. Very often you cannot even establish the proper one, you just establish the best the body can do in given circumstances. And this is why people feel out of power, tired, with pain, with cramps, because the blood does not have proper conductivity, and electricity does not flow through it the way it should. So the problem of high blood pressure, as a doctors we are being told, oh, it's very dangerous because blood vessels can crack. Well, why would blood vessel crack? They are all built the same way. So if any blood vessel is going to crack, it is going to crack in the area closest to the heart, because that's where the strongest blood pressure is. And this is why we have coronary artery problems, because when blood vessels get brittle, dry, they lose flexibility, so they cannot amortize, they cannot compensate for the high blood pressure by expanding themselves, stretching themselves a little bit to cushion the blood pressure. They stay closed and rigid, and because they become brittle, every dehydrated tissue becomes brittle. This is why you get hernia, because the muscles that form the stomach cavity are dehydrated and they become brittle. And when you want to stitch it, the stitches fell apart because the muscle is brittle. This is why the people in sport now have many problems with breaking muscles, ripping tendons, because everything has become brittle because it's dehydrated on a cellular level. So once when blood vessel artery starts having cracks, then you have a problem of body dealing with these things. The only way it can do it in these debilitating circumstances by creating plaque, closing the stuff, building it up, reinforcing it, but at the same time it narrows the orifice of the artery. But no, this is not what doctors know. Doctors know that it's cholesterol, and it is the LDL, the low density cholesterol, that creeps underneath the tissue and starts building up. It's like, who can believe in such a stupidity? Only brainwashed professional. We are professionally brainwashed. Doctors, wake up. Okay? So, the water, any kind of a liquid, when you increase the level of blood, if your arteries are closed, if they are rigid, if they cannot expand, the level of blood increases temporarily and the blood pressure increases. Now, when you put minerals or salt, even a salt, regular salt, if you put in there, then gives ionic value to this liquid. And there is no need to get it out. It's already, it comes with some ionic value, it comes with the salt. So it stays there. This is not bad, this is necessary. Because to cleanse the blood, we need water. Without water, we cannot do it. But the body cannot hold the water unless it is in ionic state, unless it is plasma, unless it has minerals. And the minerals do not come through eating plants, which I explained through other videos. If that would be the case, then herbivores would never need to go and lick salt. But every farmer knows that they need to buy salt and give it to their herbivores. They don't give it to their cat and their dog. They give it to their sheep, to the goats, to cows, even horses. Okay? They don't bother giving it to pig, but they feed the pig the wrong way, and this is why problems happen. Because pigs should also eat meat, but they are feeding them with grain. There comes lack of minerals, and they should be given salt as well. Anything, even dogs, when you feed them with pellets, which are basically carbohydrate, you have to give them salt. So they mineralize themselves, because normally minerals come through eating meat. Because animals cannot live without electric conductivity, which makes their bodies salty inside. So when carnivore eats another animal, it gets plenty of minerals, does not need to lick them. But herbivores that eat plants, they don't get the minerals. So stop with this nonsense of humic acids and all this crap. Plant produces acid so it can dissolve the mineral, and it can only absorb the mineral of the area where it is. So you may get one mineral and be depleted on the rest. So the only source of all the minerals is seawater or evaporated seawater, which is natural sea salt. And stop believing those idiots who tell you that we cannot absorb minerals from salt, because they have to be converted into kind of biological mineral. This is all crap. Make the experiment, understanding that sea salt has 80 minerals in it, including sodium chloride, which is also minerals. So drink it, and when you have to urinate, taste your urine. You will see it's salty as hell. So obviously, what's coming out through urine has been in the blood first. So you have absorbed it. But nobody's thinking. We are just listening to the experts who are more confused than anybody else because of this stupid thing called science. And it is stupid because the science is heavily manipulated, controlled by those who want to control us. And they do it through scientific explanations, because you will believe science. You go to school to learn about science. It's undisputed. It's so undisputed that the most scientifically loaded minds, like doctors when it comes to medicine, knows completely nothing about the body that can help the body heal. They cannot heal ulcer, skin ulcer. Eventually they have to cut it out. So if you cannot heal something so simple like this, what can you heal? Don't be afraid of water and salt. Because as long as you are taking salt with water, you are giving your body what it needs to eliminate surplus and hold what it needs. Since all the minerals are in a sea salt. So you are mineralizing your body, and at the same time you are eliminating the surplus and whatever else body wants to eliminate. You are cleansing. And when you cleanse, your blood becomes clean. Of course, you will have symptoms of cleansing that we call disease. That's how way off we are. You have diarrhea. We gotta stop it because it's dehydrating you. Well, yeah, it's dehydrating you because it is cleansing you. Diarrhea is caused by toxicity being taken out. So the toxicity can come only from two places. Either you ate something toxic, which will now inflame your colon, preventing it from reabsorbing liquids, keeping your feces very watery, full of water, and this is the diarrhea, and you take it out. So you don't absorb the toxic stuff that you ate. And if you did not eat anything toxic, and all of a sudden you get diarrhea, it means the toxin came from your body, from your blood. And since mucosal tissue has glomerule, same like kidneys, it filters these toxins. And in a form of mucus, it deposits them inside of stomach and inside of intestines, which then irritate and inflame intestines. Again, causing malabsorption, and through diarrhea you take it out. And if you have chronic inflammation of your digestive system, it means that you are extremely polluted. And now where is this pollution coming from? Okay, could be from cells, from your blood. But eventually you should be able to cleanse the blood and to calm the symptom, the inflammation. But you don't, which means you are constantly absorbing the toxins through your food. And this is where your chronic digestive problem comes from. It's the crap that you are eating. So, combined, of course, with the crap that you are inhaling and drinking, because everything that is toxic, that is absorbed, then has to come out. And during cleansing process, it comes through the organs that have the capability and responsibility to cleanse blood, which is the kidneys, mucosal tissue, and your skin. Toxins have bad odor, so if your breath starts to smell really bad and you don't have any cavity or abscess in the mouth, then the bad smell is coming from the toxic blood that now is being filtered through your glomerulus and your mucosal membranes or your skin. Your skin may stink, your breath may stink, and you go to bathroom, your excrement stinks, you go to urinate, your urine stinks, you are detoxifying. Don't be afraid of sea salt. Don't use the crap that they give you in the supermarket. Table salt, under this pretense that it's very healthy because it has iodine, it's potassium iodine. You cannot even absorb the shit. It's all scientific nonsense that more scientific you become, the more nonsense you absorb and harm yourself. This is why we have so many vegans and vegetarians, and growing, together with diseases. Because they all will become sick, sooner or later. It's not our diet. It's extremely toxic to us. So, we gotta learn the truth. And do not be afraid of salt. So, what do you do if you are hypertensive and on medication? Now, what is the medication? There are basically two types. One is strict diuretic, to get plasma from your blood out, which even more condenses your blood, but lowers the volume. Less water in a hose, the softer the hose is. And the other one is through beta blockers. We are basically doing two things: slowing down the heart. So, slower the heart is, and slower is the contraction, less blood pressure. And at the other end, it's dilating your blood vessels artificially, keeps them loose. So this prevents the inflammation, because blood vessels cannot constrict, and by dilating, they basically increase their volume. So if you have a certain amount of water in a hose, but now you enlarge the volume of the hose, it gets a little wider, well, there's less water in there. Same what is being done through medication. But you are not helping the body. You are not helping to detoxify or hydrate the cells. So you are camouflaging the problem and allowing it to grow. And more toxic we are, once when we go into this detoxifying process, into this cleansing process, the stronger manifestation of symptoms we are going to have, including headaches, fever, muscle pains, joint pains, explosive diarrheas, phlegm buildup in the chest, and about the phlegm buildup in the chest, people who already have lung problems, for them it is the most difficult to go through this process of cleansing, because the lungs start producing a huge amount of toxic liquid and go into it's not water, it's liquid retention that impedes their breathing. So they feel like lack of air, choking. So it has to be dealt with medicinal remedy during process of hydration. You don't stop hydrating. You just have to allow body to faster eliminate these liquids. So sometimes, again, this is why it would be really so good if doctors wake up and they start using the correct knowledge with their expertise of practical interference. So when the fluid accumulates in lungs, instead of using diuretics and now stopping the hydration on a cellular level just to be able to get some of this toxicity out, they can take a syringe and suck the liquid, toxic liquid out. Would greatly help those people. But with these brainwashed characters, full of themselves, with their cup full, there is no drop of truth that can go in there anymore. They are so much in fear of anything that is not scientifically proven through this bullshit science that they are listening to. They are deathly afraid of salt. 99% of doctors are deathly afraid of salt and blaming salt for everything. So, if you are waking up, colleagues, please allow the hydration, and if the liquid buildup happens, especially in the lungs, this has to be dealt with. So, suck it out. Don't use diuretic. Just pump it out and allow the individual to continue hydrating and cleansing, hydrating and cleansing. And you be part of the cleansing mechanism. Hopefully, when the truth gets revealed, we can join together and incorporate the true knowledge with your trained capabilities of doing mechanical things. Surgeon is nothing more than mechanic. Dentist is nothing more than mechanic. Ophthalmologist is nothing more than mechanic. None of them are healing anything. They're just mechanically, by cutting things off, by creating lenses and doing stuff artificially, they're just helping us to cope with what we have, but not healing. But if we incorporate to this cleansing and enabling the healing process, which is built into our DNA, in our genes, body knows how to heal. Only cannot do it if we continue poisoning it and preventing it from cleansing by not supplying what it needs, because we are deathly afraid of it, because it is going to cause problems. The only problem that high blood pressure is going to give you, if it is for a longer time, it increases the size of the heart muscle. You get what we call enlarged heart. A problem, enlarged heart. Well, why is it enlarged? Because it pumps harder, it works harder. You lift harder, bigger weights, you get bigger muscles. It's not a problem. Every sport person, every sport individual has enlarged heart. And what happens? When they are not doing sports, when they are calm, they get irregular heartbeat. Because heart does not have to pump regularly, because even pumping once, it gives so much oxygen and does so much work that it can skip a beat or two before it has to pump again. So the way how heart beats has nothing to do with some disease that needs now correcting. Pacemakers, yeah, control the impulse. Those are stupidities. You are just destroying the body. What the body does not do, it does not support. You lay down in the bed, you lay in bed for a couple weeks, you won't be able to get up. You won't be able to move your joints. It all freezes. You don't use it, you lose it. Why do we, as we get older, why do we get stiffer? Because we stop moving. Start moving, you won't be stiff. Why do we have tachycardia? Because body is compensating for something. During the cleansing process, every time when your cells release toxic load and toxicity of the blood jumps, you go in tachycardia because cells communicate. They don't want this toxicity in the blood, so the blood circulation is increased, the speed of it is increased for it to cleanse faster. Instead of putting beta blockers, drink more plasma, more minerals, more water to allow the body to cleanse this blood, and in 2 hours, within 2 hours, heart rate goes down, and with it, blood pressure drops. Don't use chemical poisons to poison the body to achieve results, because the changes are caused by toxicity. You are not going to resolve problem by giving it more toxic material. You are just going to worsen the problem. You may have temporarily medicinal effect, but in long run, you are destroying the body, and this is what doctors are trained to, destroy health through medication, medicinal, toxic elements. Don't be afraid of high blood pressure. It is not going to do anything bad to you. Yeah, once when you are really being poisoned for a long time and you are extremely dehydrated on cellular level, you have multiple hernias, you have even plaques starting building up in your coronary arteries because they are cracking up. Well, now you increase blood pressure. Yes, it is more dangerous than keeping blood pressure low. But you are on the verge of dying anyway, because your blood pressure can suddenly increase by you becoming irritated. One shock comes. You get a little scared. And that's it. That was enough to increase the blood pressure and break the artery and cause tamponade of the heart or heart stroke, whatever, or brain stroke. But to heal, you cannot heal unless you allow hydration on a cellular level. And you cannot hydrate cells if the blood is toxic. And blood will be always toxic as long as you are putting toxic medication in it, which means all the medicines have to go. You are afraid? Contact me, and we'll find a way how to do it. correctly. Is there a danger? In extremely sick people, yes, but they're in danger every minute anyway, because any irritation, anything that is going to make them nervous can increase the blood pressure and they'll die. Doesn't have to be the plasma. So, yeah, if you are very sick, barely moving, multiple problems, especially old because for many years you have been toxic, so the blood vessels are really extremely damaged. Well, you have to make your decision. Do you want to give it a shot to try to heal? Or you are going to wait for sudden death through some shock. Thank you for listening. Keep learning. Keep experiencing. Don't just listen. Use this knowledge. Help yourself. Thank you for listening. Thank you for learning. Thank you for contributing. Love you all.